Hi, this video is about, will AI take over and kill and enslave us? How dangerous is AI really? And how much does like a 6-month pause, as this letter that recently came out suggests with regards to certain types of AI development? This letter was dropped very recently, and a lot of people are talking about it, and there's a lot of debate and onto the various aspects of, how dangerous AI is really and what we should do about it. My first response to this kind of is that it feels a little bit like sour grapes. That's the best way to put it. Especially like, Elon Musk signing it. It's like, I couldn't be part of GPT-4 or OpenAI. Let's stop them. I think it really helps to look at the motivations of all the people involved and look at this from a more nuanced perspective. And I'm going to talk about in this video, get to the will AI take over and kill us. That's kind of towards the end as I lay the context here. Additionally, for the motivations, you think about the Future of Life Institute. This is a self-promotion exercise for them. I know that they're, they seem to have, relatively admirable goals. But that doesn't mean that they aren't incentivized to promote themselves. And a lot of this also seems like, hey, let's make our competitors pause work so we can catch up. And so in general, I think this is kind of childish almost, and also just a little bit crybaby to some degree. That's kind of my interpretation of it. I do get that there are some dangers, and I'm going to talk about those here. And in fact, Sam Altman has an interview. This one right here, with Lex Friedman. That's really, really good. It's pretty long, 2.5 hours. So I recommend you watch it. I'll put a link to it in the description. And he talks a lot about the dangers. He acknowledges that there are dangers to AI. I think he makes some really valid points that I'm going to cover in this video. One of the ones that I think he kind of alludes to at several times, and then also comes out and says it pretty directly. Actually, might not have said it directly, or it depends on how you interpret that. There was some other scientist who said something along the lines of, actually, I think that the real danger, there's some dangers now, and it has to do with humans using the AI in bad actor type ways. And personally, I think this is the bigger danger throughout. Humans, bad actor humans who are looking to do crazy things with the AI. For example, like dictator governments and misinformation and stuff like that. That is an acknowledged danger that Sam mentions. Let's maybe get a picture of Sam. And this is real. This is very real, and they're acknowledging it, and they're working on it. I think the idea that something is dangerous, therefore it should be stopped, is not very practical. Especially when you look at like how many people per year die from car accidents. Do you see people saying, "Oh, we should stop all cars because there are millions of people that die from it every year"? Social media has a dark side. Like Instagram, is really, really bad for young girls and women. And does that mean we should ban it? Not necessarily. Does that mean that it is all bad? Not necessarily. There's a whole host of other technologies and features of humanity that are where there's some amount of danger is accepted. Now, this is a little bit different. It's probably closer to something like nuclear weapons, in that there is a chance that all of the AI scientists who are on us admit that there is a chance that AI could kind of take over and enslave or kill us all. So, that kind of makes us a special case, and it does mean that we should be extra careful. I would disagree with the 6-month pause in general. I think that if you just kind of follow through, what will happen if this is actually called for, is if this actually is implemented, it really helps enlighten on like, does this really make sense? Another really important point here is you can't consider things in a vacuum. For example, with Bill Gates' blog, he talks about all the benefits that AI can do, and he's thinking about saving millions of children per year, or I'm thinking personally like curing cancer, and moving that up by 6 months. What is the benefit of that? So this also, in this discussion, I think that needs to be thrown in there. What are the actual values that we can get from AI? And I think that they're extremely great. With really, really awesome self-driving cars, we're not there yet, but where the accidents go way down, and again, curing cancer, saving lives, having essentially many more doctors to help people in the developing world and even in the first world, to help with a lot of medical science, and that's just one area of human endeavor. So you have to say, okay, well, there are dangers, but there's also massive, massive benefits that we could get. And there are many different safety strategies. Again, Sam talks a lot about like alignment, which is sort of like aligning with human values, and that is a huge, huge part of their work. And so I think, as long as the people are working to try to make it as safe as possible, I don't really know what else you can expect people to do. Because if this is implemented, let's say we did the 6-month pause exactly as they suggested, and by, first of all, they're calling for more powerful than GPT-4, which really only applies to OpenAI and maybe Google. Maybe there's somebody else out there that we don't know about, so it only applies to, let's say, just one company, maybe two, right? So this is a bit targeted, and I think that is not very... I think that kind of reveals a little bit of the motivations potentially, because, this just makes other competitors be able to catch up. 6 months is a long time. Additionally, bad actors won't stop. This doesn't slow down bad actors, and I think that is the more real dangers. It's definitely the more imminent danger. The super AGI type of, super smart computer that's smarter than everybody 1,000 times over, that is not here yet. GPT-4 is here now. There's also, large language models that you can make for yourself for your own specific case studies. That is also here now. And OpenAI, based upon my research, does have good intentions. Now, that doesn't mean that their systems can't be used for bad intentions. They're already aware that, yeah, some people are already using this for, maybe to build malware faster or something like that. Pausing for 6 months does not stop that. In fact, it might actually make that situation worse. If we're looking at like OpenAI, who is going after and really trying to do this right and with safety, I think that's an important consideration. So if it's not implemented, which is most likely, because it's just sort of like I don't even know how you would implement this, or like where do you draw the line on who's developing what and how much is too powerful. That just seems like a unreasonable expectation. And there's still lots of AI safety work going on regularly. Instead of calling for 6 months, how about you spend that time and energy actually thinking about and doing research on AI safety instead? Using GPT-4 potentially, or working with OpenAI, approaching them in a more reasonable way. I really think that this letter is just really bad. If you can't tell that by now, I think that it's childish. It's potentially sour grapes / trying to pause competition. For the signatures, it's who knows why each person signed it. The future of this company, their self promotion, and I'm sure there's some people on here genuinely concerned, but that's fine to be genuinely concerned, but to just say, oh, wait, stop, we got to stop, and for something because we don't understand it because there are dangers, I don't think that's very practical. Okay, so I've alluded to it several times. What's the real danger here? Like of getting robots that take off, or it's supposed to be like a mean robot with like a nice robot? What's the real danger? Again, I would say the biggest danger is humans, bad actors. I think that's actually, right now, that's by far and away the biggest danger. And it's possible, I think into the future, that will still be the same. And I'm going to give my reasoning here in a second. But when we really look at, like, what does a world with a super AGI look like? And actually, there's an important distinction here that I have thought that Sam Altman brings up in this interview, which is that most likely we'll actually have multiple AGIs, multiple, maybe thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of AGIs that are different. And you think, there's just kind of this idea that, oh, it's just super smart, it's the smartest thing ever, therefore it's going to be able to do everything. I don't think that's very practical. In any system, you have trade-offs. And yes, there's going to be like a first AGI. And actually, based upon my research, I would mind if it was OpenAI, because they seem to be very open about it, and I think they'll really try to make it a good AGI. So that's really I think that's there's this brief window of super danger where if that one AGI just like explodes and it's created by the wrong people, and with maybe bad intentions or poor safety measures, then it could potentially get really bad. I'm not sure exactly what that looks like, but I think that that's a very small window. And most likely what you'll get is, and this has happened a lot with technology, where multiple companies working on the same thing around the same time arrive at the same technological advancement with slightly different adjustments, slightly different tuning or whatever. And so, you envision a world where there's, over a very short period of time, we go from no AGIs to, let's say, a dozen AGIs over the course of 1 year. Okay. Now I think that this dramatically reduces the danger, because if there's multiple AGIs and they're all actually different, because there's trade-offs. You could theoretically be the smartest, but that doesn't mean you're the best for everything, right? Even 1,000 times smarter than any human, that does not mean that AI is going to be able to do everything. And there certainly are going to be multiple AGIs. Again, unless that one snowball scenario where one AGI just happens to, I think that's very, very unlikely, to be honest, because I think that the super powerful AGIs will be balanced out by the other AGIs. And so it's a little bit almost like a nuclear arms race to some degree, but with way more positive benefit to society. So I think that this is one of the key points to how dangerous AI is really. And the good news about that first AGI, that window, is that you can have an AGI that's still very limited. So I think that this is part of why I think the chances of an AGI, that first AGI just taking over, is very low, because just because you're super intelligence doesn't mean that you can do everything. So let's say OpenAI creates their first AGI, right? That doesn't mean that it has arms. That doesn't mean that it has legs. That doesn't mean it can touch every part of the internet. That doesn't mean that they give it full autonomy over everything. They'll probably have it be almost like a brain in a jar in a system. Now, maybe it can get out of that system because it's super smart, but it's not. Just because it's super, super smart doesn't mean it can't have weaknesses or off switches built into it that it can't get rid of. And so again, I think that there's a lot of balancing act here, and I think that the fear is actually more about our lack of our human fear of not understanding something, of not knowing, and that's understandable, and I empathize with it. Sam Altman talks about his empathizing with it, which makes, I agree that there are some dangers and you should acknowledge them and you should work on them, but that doesn't mean that you can't keep moving forward to save millions of lives every year, make the quality of life for everybody way, way, way better, reduce drudgery, make it so that, people can have more dignity in their lives in a lot of ways. There's just so many benefits to that. It just seems, to me, it actually seems more irresponsible to try to pause the AI development. And you can't really do that. That's part of why it's like yelling at the wind. And I think that in this world going forward, the bigger risk is bad human actors. So let's say you have 1,000 AGIs. Some of them are going to be created by sociopaths. 1% of the world are sociopaths. Now, maybe that's harder to do, but you can envision North Korea or Russia or China potentially creating, or anybody, really any big government agency or somebody, even an American or somebody who's just kind of a really bad person or wants to try to take over the world or whatever, trying with an AGI to do some really horrible stuff. But I'm optimistic that will be balanced out by other super intelligent AGIs that are designed right and that kind of work together. So that is my conclusion. I think it's most likely. I think that this letter is actually irresponsible in and of itself, and I think that the way that OpenAI is approaching it is very reasonable and practical, and they're pushing for positive human gains, which is comes from sort of like Bill Gates. And again, if you haven't read this article, it's a little bit long, but it's not too long, and it's very, very good. Maybe use GPT-4 to summarize, to give you a long summary of it. But he brings up several points again about if we're stopping this, we're not just stopping the potential dangers. Maybe, and that's even arguable if we're stopping the potential dangers. We're definitely stopping the saving of millions of children every year. So let me know what you think. Leave a comment below if you think, one way or the other, and like and subscribe. Thank you very much and have a great day. Bye.